Welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm Kendra Swalls, a former teacher turned entrepreneur and mom of two. As women, we are so much more than just one thing. We're wives, moms, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, and dreamers with goals and ambition. On this podcast, we'll talk about everything from juggling family, work, and fun to making your dreams a reality through simple, effective marketing strategies, all designed specifically for the busy mom who doesn't have a lot of extra time. So whether you're just getting started or already have an established business, there's something here for you. If you're ready to take on the challenge of becoming your own boss and making your dreams a reality, then let's get started because this girl means business. Hey there, and welcome to episode 219 of the Girl Means Business podcast. Now, I'm curious, a show of hands, even though I can't see your hands, I'm going to pretend I can. How many of you have been watching Ted Lasso? This is one of the shows that I got sucked into back in 2020 during COVID when it first came out. And I have to say it's one of my favorite shows on television right now. It's on Apple Plus. If you have not seen it, if you've never seen it, I highly recommend you go and watch it. It is one of the best, well-written shows I've seen in a really, really long time. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it touches on so many great topics. And it's kind of all under this umbrella of this funny kind of American goes to London, trying to fit in. He's a football coach in America, comes to London to be a soccer / English football coach, and all the craziness that ensues. But you fall in love with the characters, you fall in love with Ted Lasso himself, and it's just an amazing show. Now, it has just, at the time of this coming out, has just wrapped its quote-unquote final season. There's quotes around that because it could maybe be another season or a spinoff. I'm not sure. But all that to say, it's wrapped its what should be or is planned to be its final season. And I felt like this was a good time to talk about one of the kind of quotes that came out of the Ted Lasso show and what it means for us in our business. And one of the things that Ted says a lot in his coaching is he says, be a goldfish. And he explains to his players what that means is that goldfish have the shortest memory of basically any animal out there. And that when you become a goldfish, that you let your past, let your mistakes, let the things that have already happened kind of be in the past, and you focus on what's next. And I wanted to use that along with another kind of animal analogy that I'll talk about in a second to talk a little bit today about our mindset and the mindset of having a business and running a business and being a mom. And it's summertime and your kids are home and things are chaotic. And so it can be really easy to get in this sort of lower mindset of, well, I'm just not doing enough, or that thing failed, or this thing didn't work. And so what's next? And I want to say too that everything I say on this podcast is things that I personally have dealt with or am still dealing with. And this is one of those things that I'm constantly, in fact, I'm staring at a sticky note on my desktop right now that says, be a goldfish, because this is a reminder to myself as well that the things that have happened in our business in the past are not the things that are going to necessarily determine the future of our business. So let me give you some examples. In my photography business, I've tried a buttload, for a kinder way to say it, of strategies and ideas. I've tried these mini sessions. I have tried running specials. I have tried themed sessions, all the things. And most of the time, they fell flat. Not every time, but a lot of times they fell flat because it wasn't what my audience wanted, or it was something that I was just doing for the wrong reason of, well, I just need quick money, so let me run a special or let me do a mini shoot. And it wasn't for the right reasons. And so they just didn't work out. And if I allowed myself to look at those past failures and let that determine my future plans, then I would get nowhere in business. I would be thinking all the time well, I tried that before. I tried doing mini sessions before. They didn't work out. So I shouldn't try them again because it's probably not going to work in the future. The idea around the concept of be a goldfish is that You don't focus on what hasn't worked in the past. You let all that go. You're living for now. You're not living for 5 minutes ago or 5 days ago or 5 months ago. You're living for right now. And you're taking everything that's happened in the past and you're using it as a springboard for what's going to come next. What have I learned? What can I do differently? Why do I think this didn't work? And so that's what I want you to do in your business as well. If you are sitting here right now and you're thinking, oh, I've tried all of the things and they aren't working, or oh, I've done this thing and it failed and I just feel like I'm a failure and I don't even want to try anymore. I want you to use the mentality of be a goldfish. I want you to think about the idea that what has or has not worked in the past doesn't have a bearing on what will or won't work in the future. Now, that doesn't mean to say that like, oh, this failed in the past, I'm going to repeat it exactly and it should work this time. You have to learn from it and you have to adapt and you have to make changes. However, when you don't allow your past struggles or failures to dictate what you're willing to take chances on in the future, you are more likely to see success in the future because you are willing to give it a chance and you're willing to learn from your past. So my advice to you today is to be a goldfish. Now, I also said that I had another animal analogy, and this one comes from my daughter's softball team. And I heard when they would be out in the field and somebody was struggling with something or our pitcher was having, a bad inning, I would hear the coaches yell, "Buffalo." And I was like, that's weird. Why are they saying buffalo? It didn't make sense to me. So one day I asked my husband, I said, what does that mean? Why are they saying buffalo? And he said, well, at the beginning of the season, they had a little talk with the girls and they said, when there's a storm coming and if you look out into the field, the cows will run away from the storm. They want to get as far away from it as they can. However, buffalo will run towards the storm. They will stand their ground. They will face the storm head on. And that was the lesson they were giving these girls, was to face the storm head on. And so I loved that analogy. I was like, yes, be a buffalo. Be someone who's not going to back down because things get hard. Don't be someone who is like, oh, my kids are home over the summer. This is just too tough. I'm just going to stop my business for 3 months. Well, when you do that, you end up being in the same place that you were before the storm ever came, before the thing that became difficult. And a lot of times what we're doing is we are assuming that we know what the storm's going to look like. We're assuming that because summers have been hard in the past, because we've struggled with our kids being home and not having time, that means it's going to be the same this time. And so we run away from it. We're like, oh, it's been too hard in the past, so I'm just going to let it, not even going to mess with it. Instead, be a buffalo. Turn and face the storm and say, you know what? It's hard. And there's going to be days that I'm going to spend more time with my kids than I do with my business. There's going to be some days I spend more time with my business and less time with my kids, and that's okay. That is okay. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look amazing all the time. It's not going to look like what we think we see other business owners doing on social media. It's going to be messy and it's going to be challenging. And there's going to be days when you're like, oh, why am I doing this? But as long as you keep pushing forward, you're going to continue to improve. You're going to continue to get better. You're going to continue to make progress. And so that is the mindset that I wanted you to have. So this episode is quick. It's short. It's going to be just a little pick me up at the beginning of summer to say, you've got this. You can do this. I want you to be a goldfish and not let your past successes or failures dictate what you do next. And I want you to be a buffalo. I want you to face the storm. I want you to face the things that feel overwhelming, that feel like too much, and know that you can do hard things. And I have faith in you. And I know that this season may not look perfect. It may not feel perfect. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. It just has to be progress. It has to be one more step forward to what you want to accomplish in your business, even if it is something minuscule. Or maybe you have big plans and you're not going to let the summer deter you. Whatever your plans are, I want you to know that you can face it head on and that you've got this, because I'm here supporting you and I know you can do this. So this is your little beginning, whatever, of summer. Pick me up. You got this, mama. All right. See you next week.